So, hello to everyone, and I welcome all of you to our coaching call number 13. In this call, first we will revise program stakeholder engagement, this domain, and then we will solve 10 questions from this domain. Okay. So, on my screen, you can see the mind map of this complete domain, which is handwritten. So, I will go step by step. What were the 5 processes or 5 steps in this chapter? Number 1 is program stakeholder identification, in which we get the stakeholder register. Then we have program stakeholder analysis. Then we have stakeholder engagement plan. Then stakeholder engagement. And number 5th one is program stakeholder communications. So these are the 5 steps in this chapter. So when I go into the detail of each of them, I start from here. Stakeholders can be internal, external to the organization. They may have positive or negative impact on our program, and the proper term to use is stakeholder engagement rather than stakeholder management. However, if we are using the word expectations of a stakeholder, then we can use the word of managing the stakeholder expectations. But if we are only using stakeholders, it is preferable to use engagement. It concerns negotiations of objectives, agreements on desired benefits, commitment to resources, ongoing support throughout the program. So the purpose of doing stakeholder engagement is to get support of the stakeholders throughout the life cycle of the program. And this is a two-way communication coming from the program's manager side toward the stakeholder and from stakeholder side to the program manager. And program manager interacts with stakeholders in the following ways: assessing their attitudes, interests, include them in the program activities. So more we keep the stakeholders involved or in communication with us, it's better for us. Monitor their feedback and supports the training objectives. So these are the generalized comments on the stakeholders. And I didn't mention about what is a stakeholder. That is the same thing that we have discussed in PMP. Any person only or any organization that is affected or perceive itself to be affected. So the stakeholder identity is the same like the previous that we already know. Then if we go to the first topic, yes, Kamran sir.
One short question. You see in application step-by-step procedure, I noticed that in domain number 3 for stakeholder engagement, question is stakeholder management. It is by mistake by them or something like that.
No, the
I
point
mean,
is, no, in general, even if you see the exam content outline, he has written stakeholder management. But in his own
okay,
standard, they prefer to use the word engagement. But practically the same thing. Engagement or management is just a common word that is in progress. But in
okay,
future or for better understanding, it's better to use engagement. That's the only
okay.
thing. Okay. So the first topic is program stakeholder identification. Just keep in mind, we will get stakeholder register as an output from this step. What does the stakeholder register contains? Lists of stakeholders, categorize their relationship with the program, ability to influence the program outcomes, degree of support for the program, and what are the communication needs of the stakeholder. Stakeholder register is a dynamic document, which means that it will be updated continuously during the life cycle of the program. It must be appropriately secured. The key word that we discussed in the last call also, that this stakeholder register contains confidential information. So it is not a public document. So it should be appropriately secured, and only information can be used by the program manager or the program team, but we cannot share the stakeholders register with all the stakeholders. Okay, this is very important. And identification using brainstorming technique, interviews, focus groups, any technique we can use to identify or to find out the potential stakeholders for our program. So after doing any of the technique, once we know the stakeholders, then we have to list them down in the stakeholder register. So that is the first step of getting stakeholder identification. Then we have program stakeholder analysis. What does it mean? we have to analyze the stakeholders that we have already listed down in the stakeholder register. How can we do it? We can use number one, historical information, individual interviews, focus groups, questionnaires and surveys. So whenever you are asking, get the question anyway, that you have a large number of people to get the feedback, or they are virtually dispersed from one another, then in that case the technique that we use is questionnaires and surveys. Key information through open-ended questions, level of authority, power, level of concern and interest. So this I have written the four things that we have to do as per the power interest grid. If we have high power and high interest, then we have to manage closely. If we have high power, low interest, so we have to keep them satisfied. If we have low power and high interest, we have to keep them informed. And when we have low power, low interest, we have to monitor them, because at any time they can come in any of the other three categories. Is it clear to everyone? This stakeholder register, identification and stakeholder analysis. Any question in this?
No.
Okay. So at this moment we have the stakeholder register. We have already analyzed the stakeholders, and we know how to handle the stakeholders. Then in the third step, we have to do program stakeholder engagement planning. So remember that at this part, the output we will get is stakeholder engagement plan. And what does it contain? Number one, organizational culture and acceptance of change, attitudes about the program, relevant phases, expectation of program benefits delivery, degree of support or opposition to the benefits, ability to influence outcome of the program. So as per this plan, this should be used as a guiding principle for the remainder of the program, how we will engage the stakeholders. So in this document, which is stakeholder engagement plan, we will list down the activities, the actions that we will do to keep the stakeholders engaged. Then we come to the real step, which is program stakeholder engagement. Now we have all the list of stakeholders, we have the stakeholder engagement plan. Now we will actually interact and engage the stakeholders. It is a continuous program activity. Program managers are responsible to ensure all stakeholders are adequately and appropriately engaged. In the exam, he can ask you the question that you can ignore some of the stakeholders if they are negative to the program or they are not interested. But in any case, you have this responsibility of the program manager to engage them. We cannot leave them alone. Okay. All interactions are logged, participation trends are analyzed, and root cause analysis is performed. If somebody is not participating or somebody is not attending our stakeholder engagement meetings, then we have to analyze and find the root cause of this issue. Use of an issue log to document, prioritize and track issues to understand the feedback from the stakeholders. So issue log, we will write everything that is coming during this process. Is it clear to everyone? Engagement. So actually what we are doing there, what?
Yes.
Okay. Program stakeholder communication. Communication is at the heart of stakeholder engagement. Engage them throughout the life cycle of the program, and raised questions and answers should be captured and published so all can benefit. So this is also the same type that we have written again above the issue log. So the point is that if, for example, one stakeholder asks any questions and they have the queries regarding anything, then we answer them. We have to document this conversation, so there may be some other stakeholder may have the same question or same query. So in summary of this domain, we make a stakeholder register. Number one, we make stakeholder engagement plan. Then we actually engage the stakeholders and we communicate with the stakeholders. During all this process, whatever we are interacting with the stakeholder, whatever we are communicating with the stakeholder, whatever are the issues that we are having when we are discussing with the stakeholders, everything has to be logged, everything has to be documented. And later on, all the communication has to be made public, so any other stakeholder can also get benefit from that. And the key point to understand is that stakeholder register is a dynamic document, which means it is updated throughout the life cycle of the program, but it is confidential document and you cannot make the stakeholder register public because it has to be kept secured. And for identification or discussing with the stakeholders, we can use various techniques: questionnaires, surveys, interviews, historical information, brainstorming, whatever we have already known. But in this exam, he will not ask you the specific techniques, maybe one or two techniques, maybe one question. But the key point is to always keep in mind stakeholder register and stakeholder engagement plan. Any question in this domain by anyone? If it is clear to everyone, please type yes in the chat box. And one more thing I told you, that whoever are the stakeholders we have identified in the stakeholder register, the same stakeholders are also coming today in the governance roles chapter. That we have program sponsor, program steering committee, program manager, project manager, and PMO, program management office. So that's where this chapter becomes important, in the way that the same stakeholders that we are engaging, that we are managing, in the whose expectations we are managing, are also covered in the governance domain also. Okay, good. So let's go to the questions of this domain. We will solve 10 questions. So everybody can see can see question number 86.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let's do question number 86. Zagam Sab, can you read the question, please?
Sure. At the end of the program, the resulting benefits should be compared against those intended in which of the following document to ensure that the program actually delivered the intended benefits: benefit register, risk register, business case, and program charter.
So use the elimination technique. B is possible.
So B is impossible, so
Okay.
it's irrelevant. Then
D.
we have the program charter do have a list of benefits that we want to deliver, and benefit register is also a candidate. I have chosen benefit register because it has comparatively more detailed information about benefits.
Okay.
That's all.
So everybody gave A or C. So I thought it will be an easy question, but now it's getting interesting. My question to all of you is that the resulting benefits we have to compare, right? Everybody understood the question? Please unmute yourself. At the end of the program, we have to check the resulting benefits. This is output that we have. Is clear? So in which document do I have the resulting benefits? Which was the document in which I was updating the status of the benefits throughout the life cycle? Which is the document?
Benefit register.
Benefits
Yes.
register.
Yes. So it means the resulting benefits are in benefits register, right? Throughout the life cycle, I was updating my benefit register to see the progress, which benefits are delivered and which benefits are not delivered. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Then go to the question. The resulting benefits, it means I have an updated benefit register here. Should be compared against those intended in which of the following document? Means I have to look into another document from which I can compare the benefits which were actually intended for this program. I have updated benefit register. Now I am looking for a document that contained my intended benefits. So which is that document in which we start the program? Why? What is the in which document we provide the justification or intention of or the business case?
Business case.
C will be in that case. C
Yes,
then.
C is the correct answer. Everybody, I think, thought of the benefit register, but just consider the formation of the question. The resulting benefits means the benefit register is a dynamic document. Okay, I have the benefits there. With the passage of time throughout my life cycle, I am updating it, updating it, updating it. At the end of the program, I have an updated benefit register which contains the status of the actual benefits which are delivered, which are not delivered, which are terminated, whatever is the state. Now I have to say whether the program is successful, can be closed or not. So I have to look for the intended intended benefits which was in the business case. Yes, Kamal sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
One
Actually, I just wanted to share a little bit of experience. I
Okay.
initially answered A for this question, but
Okay.
then I changed my answer to C.
Okay.
And it's because of something that I noticed in my PMP exam and RMP exam, that sometimes it's the grammar of the question which shows you the right answer.
Okay.
Because if you read the question is pretty straightforward. At the end of the program, the resulting benefits should be compared against those intended. Now, if you put a full stop here and start another sentence, in which of the following documents, then you can probably go for option A. But that doesn't happen here. It says against those intended in which of the following documents. It's a continuation. So
Right.
basically, you are looking for a document to compare the achieved benefits, and that is the business case. This is something that I experienced in my exam, and I saw this here, so I just wanted to share it.
Right. So it means that this question is the language and the tone is similar to the actual exam, right?
Yes.
Good.
But can we argue on this point, saying, okay, we have delivered benefits, and how to compare it? Like, the benefits are created. Now we want to compare it with something. So we, in benefit register, we have a definition of benefit saying, okay, that's the benefit we are going to deliver. And once the benefits start getting delivered, we keep updating until 100% delivered.
Yes.
So this was my understanding, saying, okay, the benefits are being created, and now we are saying 80%, 90%, 100%. This could be an argument, right?
Yeah, this could be the argument, but here the point is against those intended in which of the following documents. So the intention or the starting point is a business case. Benefit register we made is a second step. When we were identifying the benefits, then you can argue that okay, the benefit register contains a list of benefits. But when he's asking about in the latest in governance also, you will see that everywhere in wherever domain we are going, our starting point is always the program business case. Just put in this perspective. So whenever I have to make justification or the argument whether my program is successful or not successful, or can I can I close my program or not, I have to see my acceptance criteria, right? Even
Yeah.
in their perspective, my starting or reference point is always a business case. So whenever he will ask you the something from which you have to compare where the intention was there or where what was the starting point of my program, that will be a business case.
Yeah. Okay.
It's clear to everyone now?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, let's go. 87. So the main question here is that what is the main reason for maintaining communication with the stakeholders? Option number A, to ensure stakeholders support for the program. This can be the correct option. To ensure stakeholder alignment for the programs. This is a makeup term. To ensure funding for the program. Funding also is coming from the coming from the sponsor, which is one of the stakeholder, but communication doesn't help to make the ensure the funding. And second, last, to get the program benefits delivered. So technically speaking, all the options are okay, but if we go to the exam content outline, the statement that we discussed in that day is every time we are communicating with the stakeholders, in that the correct option is to ensure stakeholder support for the program. So this word you have to remember, because whatever technically speaking all the options are okay for communication, but the proper answer as per the eco is to ensure stakeholders support for the program. Okay, and I think everybody gave the correct answer, so it means this understanding is clear.
Sir,
Yes.
uh, sir Garima, yeah. Sir, just out of curiosity, what kind of support, like stakeholder support for the program?
Support in a broad sense means they're always behind you to make the program successful. That is the meaning of support. They are not trying to sabotage the program. They are not trying to give negative input to the program. They're always helpful. Support means helpful for the program. Okay.
Okay.
The support here means helpful in a positive way. Whatever we do, we have to make sure the stakeholders support the program, because it has to be aligned with the organizational objectives and everything. So support is the correct answer. And in the eco, in 3 tasks, he have used this word of communication to ensure stakeholder support. So we have to take support. Okay.
Okay, sir.
88. Kamal Saab, can you read the question, please?
As a program manager, you are reviewing the stakeholder register. You notice that some of them are against the programs and not willing to talk to anyone. They have neither attended any meeting nor you have ever met them. What should be your approach to dealing with such a negative attitude stakeholders? A is call them and invite them for a dinner. B, develop and foster relationships with the stakeholder. C, ignore them and do not contact them. And D is report the issue to program steering committee.
So you selected A.
Yes, because by deduction, the first thing, option D is unacceptable because it is the last resort when
Yes.
you raise an issue to steering committee.
Correct.
C is also unacceptable because you cannot ignore them,
Right.
and you cannot refuse contact with them.
Right.
B, develop and foster relationships with the stakeholders. That is a good answer. But then I thought of what PMI teaches in terms of project management and program management, and that is it's always much better to have a face-to-face meeting with your stakeholders. And
Right.
for that, option A, the call them and invite them for a dinner, because in the question it is also mentioned that program managers has never met them.
Yes.
So this can be an invitation. Through invitation, this can be an opportunity to meet them face to face and start establishing relationship, which is the B option.
Okay.
That's why I took option A.
Okay. So here you have to see the first step, like you said, that is to call them and invite them for a dinner. But okay, indirectly, if I open this term, call them, it is meaning the same thing. Develop and foster relationships with the stakeholder. That is my intention. Okay. So as per the exam content outline, we always have to go number one for a special words. Develop and inviting them for a dinner or calling them for a lunch is not ethical answer. Number one. If you go even in the program manager on the PMI, other than the things, whenever as a general term I'm talking you, if somebody in any answer they say that you have to, somebody is angry with you or stakeholder is not happy with you, you can offer them a gift, okay, or go to their home to present a special compliment with them. This is never the correct answer. This is unethical. Number one. So just keep in mind this thing. Although having face to face discussion, if you would have said call them and invite them for a face to face meeting in your office, then okay, we can see. But whenever he's talking you specially to call them for a dinner, sharing the gifts, this is never the correct answer. As a general, this is eliminated based on the ethical concern. Is it okay, Kamal sir?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. And so this develop and foster relationships with the stakeholder is the correct answer. Your understanding was correct that we have to discuss with them, we have to make a good relationship with them. And also as per the exam content outline, this is the actual wording that he has used. Develop and foster relationships with the stakeholder. Okay. And Grima, this option D, report the issue to the program steering committee, or means we will study in the governance domain. To escalate the issue is always the last option. The easiest way is that I am a program manager. If I cannot handle anything, I will just escalate the issue to the program steering committee. Sir, I cannot do it, you do it. But this is always the last option. If you have tried to foster the relation, if the question will say the same story, and at the end he will say that you have already tried your best to engage them, to make the relationship with them, but still you are not able to manage it at your level, then what is the next step? Then the answer would be to report the issue, to escalate the issue to some higher authority. Okay. But
Yes,
two things you have to keep in mind for the general exam, whether it's PgMP, PMP, or any PMI exam. Number one, in any case we cannot do any unethical work. Unethical means giving them the gift. For example, you have a job interview and your brother is your interview, you have to report it. This is all coming under the unethical ways. So this everything comes first. This we cannot select in any way. And secondly, when only option to escalate the issue to the higher decision maker, sponsor, steering committee, or anyone who is above us, will only be selected once the question clear cut says to that the program manager or project manager has tried everything and still is not able to solve. Then only in that case you have to escalate the issue. Otherwise, these two options are never selected. Okay, just keep in mind this general principle. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. So
Yes.
let's go to the next question. C D C D D D. Sabir Saab, can you read the question?
Yeah. Why is it important to generate and maintain visibility for the programs and confirm stakeholders' support? So the answers we have, choices we have is achieve program benefits, achieve funding for the program, achieve program strategic objectives, achieve stakeholders buy-in for the program. So basically here, if we understand from the question itself, first of all, we have to maintain a visibility for the program and confirm stakeholders support. So these are the two things that he is asking for.
Yes.
So one is achieve program benefits. It is okay. We have to achieve the program benefits, but it is not in line with the what is it asking in the question.
Correct.
So
So
it will be
is not
eliminated.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Achieve funding for the program. So this is also eliminated. That is also in line, not in line with the requirement.
Correct.
Okay. C, achieve program strategic objectives. Unfortunately, like above two, this is also a good thing, but not in line with what it's asking in the question. So D is more a relevant answer basically in this case.
Okay. But that is a question coming directly from the, okay, I understood your concern, but let
Yeah.
me show you something.
Yeah.
Read task 4. Can you see my screen?
I can see the screen, but
Sir, only PPT is visible.
Okay, wait. Now can you see the task?
yeah, task 4. Okay.
Read task 4.
Generate and maintain visibility for the program and confirm stakeholder support in order to achieve the program's strategic objectives.
So the key word here was generate and maintain visibility. Okay, and whenever we are making the visible to make means everything is transparent and clear to all, is to confirm the stakeholder support. Ultimately, it is linked to the program strategic objectives. And the
Yeah,
word that
okay.
I put here as the option number C, achieve stakeholders buy-in for the program, is indirectly saying support of the support for the stakeholders.
Yeah.
That is
Buy-in
already
means support.
Yeah, but buy-in means support, right?
Yeah.
And that I have already
Buy-in,
written in
yes.
the buy-in means I want that stakeholders are supporting me, they are getting my point what I want from them. Okay.
Yes.
So
exactly.
intentionally I put that answer because I know this will be a big discussion. But again, the keywords that are in the exam content outline, and technically speaking, again I will say technically speaking, all the answers are correct. Okay. But the
My my,
problem, yes,
my question here is, if you go back to the question screen again, I
right.
was confused between benefits and the strategic objective. But since you show us the echo, so I'll go with the strategic objective.
Hmm.
But I need their support so that I can deliver the benefits.
That is okay, but that's what I am saying. Technically, all the options are correct because achieve funding for the program is also coming from the sponsor, who is also the stakeholder. So
Yeah.
maybe in some question he can ask that in the middle of the program, I just give you one scenario. You find out that stakeholders are no longer giving funding to the program. Okay. So what was the issue? Means you didn't maintain the stakeholder support for the program. So technically all the options are correct. But if when you see the keywords, generate and maintain visibility, means visibility is not, this word is not in PMI standard book. It's only in exam content outline. So it means that if we use some special words which are only in the exam content outline, like in chapter number 1, Manmohan, you will remember, we had a big discussion on the baseline document. Remember?
Yep.
And I said that high level roadmap was a baseline document. So, and we had a discussion that baseline documents are many more, but we confirmed that in whole business case charter, this baseline word is not used. Indirectly, he can use some words, but not the typical word. So same is the thing here. Once he give you some special words which are coming directly from exam content outline of the book, then we have to select for that the answer which has directly there. Okay. Is it clear to everyone?
Yeah, clear. Yeah.
So I showed you how to make, and these are the telling you these are the real questions that can come directly from the eco. But and we get confused normally because eco we don't look into that perspective. Okay. So now
So
everybody
sir,
can
we can
yes.
so sir, we can say like how, like most of the questions will be based on eco only. Like if we
No,
remember eco nicely or
yes,
we can crack.
yes, and remembering nicely doesn't mean to remember like grabbing it, only just to mean this thing that because this maintain visibility and these words are special words, they should trigger your mind that this is
Correct.
something that I cannot think of. The answer cannot be based on my thinking. That's what I want to say. Maybe I'm not putting
Correct.
in the right way. When we know this work, whatever is there, we have to put the select the correct answer, the correct word in that. That's the thing I want to say. Okay.
Hmm. Okay, sir.
So everybody can see question number 90 now.
Yep.
Okay. So everybody give the answer. This is a one single line question and nobody gave the answer. C, B, okay, D. Karman Sahab, can you read the question?
Yes. In which of the following document is the position of the stakeholders relative to the program written?
So wait,
So first one is still
wait. What is the meaning of position of the stakeholder? What does it mean? What he's asking? What is the position of a stakeholder?
I mean his you can say
Position is like he's a
hierarchical
director,
structure.
senior director, CEO, or whatever.
Yes, sponsor,
Yeah, hierarchy.
executive director,
Yeah,
general manager means their actual position in the institute, in the organization. Okay, so
yeah.
number one.
Stakeholder map, program management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, and stakeholder matrix. So B option is not there because it is coming later. So we are
Okay.
still dealing with stakeholders.
Okay.
And then stakeholder engagement plan can also be option, but before that we have already stakeholder map and stakeholder matrix, right? So I think out of A and D, stakeholder matrix is there because stakeholder register. In other form, in other way, we can say stakeholder matrix is stakeholder register.
Yes,
So all information regarding stakeholders is mentioned there.
correct. So if they, that's why I did not put the option stakeholder register, because that was an easy word. And stakeholder engagement plan doesn't tell you the position of the stakeholders. Stakeholder engagement plan actually tells you how you will engage the stakeholders. But the position of the stakeholders is directly given in the stakeholder register. Yes, Hamid sir.
Yes, sir. I was confused actually by reading the statement of this problem that you gave us. The position of the stakeholder, to me that was desired or current, where as far as their expectations, so that's their position, like they're against it or they're not. And so that's why I thought it was like option A, because it would show them their current level of interest within the project
Okay.
or the program.
Okay. Read task one. Hamid sir, read task one. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, I do. Identify stakeholders, including sponsors, and create the stakeholder matrix in order to document their position relative to the program. All right, I got it, sir.
So this is actually the stakeholder matrix or stakeholder register. And what do you have in the stakeholder register? Either he can ask you identify the stakeholders, where will you document them? Again, the answer is stakeholder register or stakeholder matrix. And the main purpose he has given us is here to document their position relative to the program. And secondly, when we saw the slides yesterday, we had the example of stakeholder register in which it was written Mark, Alan or something. The position was already, role or position was already mentioned there. Executive director, sponsor, something. So that was the stakeholder register, not the stakeholder engagement plan.
No, the
All right.
confusion here is the confusion here which Hamid is saying. Hamid, I'm vouching your voice. It should be the organization position, right? So then we would have thought about, oh, it's a CEO or whatever, right? So but given that what you just saying, that position, for me also, my answer was A as well. Before I thought, oh, there's something fishy here.
Okay. And one more thing, stakeholder map is actually where you are checking their power or interest. Okay.
Yeah. For me, that's the position. Because if you
okay.
going to ask me, Manmohan, what's your position about whether you want to go for your exam or not? My position is either I'm appearing or not appearing, right? So
okay.
that's how I take it. But anyways, you're right. So it's just
no, it's good to have a discussion. And one more thing, position. Just if I say about power interest grid, that is actually the in other words, I will say analyzing the stakeholders. That is not the position. The stakeholder map or the power interest grid, what everybody thought about the position is actually under stakeholder analysis. When I will analyze your attitude of about the program, then I will know, okay, stakeholder A is positive, is a high power, high interest, low level, low interest. But at the start, whenever I'm going to write the position related to the sponsor, so in that position, if you are high interest or high power stakeholder, this is not your position. This is your attitude towards the program. Your position still will remain general manager or CEO or XYZ for the company. Okay. Yes, Grima, you have a question. You raised the hand before.
Yes, sir. Like after reading the eco, I got it. My answer was wrong. But can you go back to the question?
Yes. Kamran sir, do you have the question from question or from the eco? Then I change my screen.
From question.
Okay. Let me check. Yes, Grima.
So just correct me if my understanding is wrong. So
Okay.
when I read the question, I found document is the like which of the following. One second. Which of the following document is the position of the stakeholder relative to the program written? So I thought proportional we are talking about. So if stakeholder interest is going down, we always refer SCP, right, to get the strategies and all to
Hmm.
engage. So from that perspective, I have selected SCP. So this relative word is like what, like in kind of a relation with the stakeholder, or it's like proportional, just from
No,
question perspective.
the position of the stakeholder relative to the program. It means, for example, I am Abdul Rahim Sami. Okay, I am a
Hmm.
stakeholder for my program. Maybe for program A, my position is sponsor. Okay,
Hmm.
for program B, my position is program manager. For program C, my position is project manager. Abdul Rahim Sami remains the same. That's why he is saying you position relative to the program means for that particular program. So that will be mentioned in the stakeholder register or stakeholder metrics for that particular program. You cannot generalize the stakeholder. That's why this is the word here, relative means for that program. In other words, I can say in which of the following document is the position of the stakeholders for the relative program written or for the specific program written.
But sir, a few minutes back you said from stakeholder map we can get to know what is the position of a stakeholder. Then why we are referring metrics? Like I just want to know what is the difference in both map and metrics.
Stakeholder metrics is stakeholder register. Stakeholder
With
metrics,
all current and desired
yes.
interest that
The
what
point
was that
the
we have
the problem is that in the
un-
standard he is using the word stakeholder register, but in the exam content outline he has used the word stakeholder metrics. So that's why I
that
opened this discussion here. Metrics, not to confuse with map. Stakeholder map will come in the analysis topic.
okay. Register is that one only, no sir? That unaware, resistant, those few
Yes,
parameters.
yes,
Right?
yes.
Okay.
And their role. What is the current state?
Rules.
What is your desired state?
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
Yes, Kamran sir.
Yeah, I just want to add that it will also respond to Garima question. Stakeholder map is you see tool and technique for analysis of stakeholders, whereas the question asks for the document, right, relative to the program.
Yes, correct.
So we can get this information from matrix only. So map, your mapping, this is tool and technique, what I understand,
Yes,
for the
correct.
analysis of stakeholders. Yeah.
Stakeholder map, as I told you, when you are making the stakeholder map is same like power interest grid. And I told in power interest grid, you can have only X coordinate and Y coordinate, in which only we are looking for power versus interest. This is specifically known as power interest grid. But if you want to analyze the stakeholders with more characteristics, in addition to three or four, more than two, power, interest, their attitude, culture, environment, anything, then you have to use stakeholder map. That is a tool and technique. Actually, that is a correct observation from Mr. Kamran. Is it clear to everyone now? Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. 91.
Document.
Wow. Everybody has A, which is a wrong answer. So I have to read the question by myself. Okay. The risk have been identified by the stakeholders. So where does this risk go?
Risk register.
Okay. As a program manager, you are evaluating the risks. Means we have crossed risk identification topic and we are in risk evaluation and risk analysis. Agreed?
Yes, right.
In which document will you incorporate the risks as necessary? What is the meaning of incorporation the risk? How will we address the risks?
It means quantitative or qualitative analysis.
Wait, wait. Read task risk. Task risk. Kamran sir, please read task risk. Can you see my screen?
Actually, not. Yeah, right. Okay. Task is evaluate risks identified by stakeholders, including sponsors, and incorporate them into the program risk management plan. Yes, right.
So here, from the exam content outline, there are two things to understand for everyone. This is very important. That's why intentionally I put here. One thing is that he is talking about evaluating the risks. So in PMI terms, evaluation doesn't only mean that you have to only write risk A, B, C, D. Evaluation is a process in which he is expecting you have a documented document of risk, and now you are going to the next step. What is the quantification of the risk, evaluating what it is, a high risk, low risk, whatever thing, and complete package of managing that risk. That's why after evaluation of the risk register may be updated or not updated is one thing, but actually you have to go to the risk management plan. Is it clear to everyone? Everybody gave risk register the answer. I knew it. Especially who are preparing for the exam, this stakeholder, that's why I intentionally put a lot of questions directly from the eco, because this chapter seems to be very easy. But you see, I made only a single liner question, but still they are lot of wrong. So please read again this stakeholder eco, especially because the answers which are in this are very tricky. And the problem that we have is that when something comes directly with the same wording from the eco, then we have no other option to argue with PMI that this came with the option, that came with the option. And if you read it more carefully, we will analyze that he's saying the correct thing. Any comment on this question from anyone? Or something is not clear?
No,
Amer
sir.
sir, is it clear? Okay, it's okay.
Gee, sir, actually, it is super clear. I'm actually more nervous than I was before.
Sorry?
I said I'm more nervous now than before because I thought I knew it. It's a very easy chapter, and I was taking it lightly. But I
Yes.
think most of the questions, not being able to, actually, I've not spent much time on eco, and so I will spend more time now. So I think it's
And
probably a lesson learned from this chapter.
I mean,
yes,
when is your exam book? Is it 16th June or something?
For me,
Yeah.
yes, sir, somewhere around there.
okay. And one more thing I would like to emphasize again here, especially to the persons who have already booked the exam. Nothing to worry about. The main thing is that the questions that I am actually doing in the coaching calls are, I am using the tone and the grammar that PMI actually asks, and what I have the experience from 6 certifications I have from PMI. And when we are reading the chapter, reading the book, it seems very easy and we ignore it, that okay, I know it. But when it comes to the question form and the questions on which you feel is easy, please read it 2 times. The questions that you answer directly, this is the answer, please do it 2 times, because PMI is not so stupid to make the exams very easy. Okay, so that's why I intentionally made this question single liner. So everybody, because whenever you click risk register, I am sure nobody will look this question 2 times. Okay, because it's a very straightforward question. So as a trick, whenever some question seems to you very easy, please read it 2 times. That is the one that will get you wrong. Okay, next question number 92. Now you can see my screen, right? 92, you are seeing my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody please give the answer. Sabir sir, please read the question.
What should you do to handle this situation? The options are: add the issue to the program risk register, review and update the stakeholder register, review and update component communication management plan, review and update the stakeholder engagement plan. Okay, you are a program manager for a multi-million-dollar program, which has 3 projects, A, B, C. During the program delivery phase, a stakeholder complains that he did not receive a very important and critical information about project A. Okay, ji, what should you do to handle this situation? The first thing is add the issue to the program risk register. That is not suitable.
Wait. Kamran sir, why you gave A? What is give me the reason for A?
Yes, because this thing has arisen during execution phase, so it means we have to log it in issue register first.
Okay, but
so
what
that
is
we can take action
okay?
accordingly.
What is written here? Add the issue to the program risk register. Can you log issue in the risk register or in the issue register?
Right. Okay.
Okay, so you see how we trick.
Yes.
If we have written
Yes.
add the risk to the risk register is correct. Add the issue to issue register we can see, but issue is going in the risk, so this is technically wrong. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Sabir sahab, read Zagam sahab. Why you select option B? To view and update the stakeholder register.
I have assumed that the stakeholder might not be like only
Identified.
related to project A. He could be like the upper stakeholder, and he is receiving all project update, but about A he hasn't received.
Okay,
I was
so
confused about the frequency of communication where it is written. Usually stakeholder engagement plan has details about formatting and language and all that, but it is majorly focused on how the people will be engaged, like a general principles.
okay.
So
But
that's why I chose stakeholder register. Probably there we write
no,
down the frequency of communication.
okay,
or what to do.
frequency communication is one thing, but here the problem is that he is not receiving the information. It means that he is either not communicated or he is not engaged properly. The stakeholder will only tell if there was a statement that during the program delivery phase, a very important person who is not yet identified comes to you that he is affected from project number A and he is not receiving anything. In that case, we have to update the stakeholder register. That would mean that I have to add him as a stakeholder, then I can work for the next step. But here, the stakeholder is already identified. That's why we cannot update the stakeholder at this moment, in this particular moment, because I have to see why he is not getting my communication. This is the engagement or communication problem. It's not something in the register as of now. Okay. Okay. Kamal Saab, option C. Why option C?
Because option A, as you already described, issues cannot be logged into risk registers.
A and B are clear. You selected option C. I'm asking you the reason for option C.
Okay, option C is because, as the question states, the stakeholder is complaining about project A, which is a component project of the program.
Okay.
Now, the word stakeholder means is already identified.
Okay.
It already means that he may be briefed about the project B and C, but not about project A. So engagement is there. To me, it's more about the component communication management plan of project A, which needs to be amended in order to communicate information to that stakeholder.
Okay, at the component level or the project level, if there's any plan, who will review and update it? Project manager or program manager?
Project manager.
But you are a program manager. You cannot go to the component level to change the plan.
Yes, but if the stakeholder is complaining to program
Okay.
manager, he can instruct the project manager.
Yes, but now come to option number D. Who gave D? Hamid sir, please read option D.
All right, so it says review and update the stakeholder engagement plan. And so if
This is the first, you are playing now at the program level, right? That's the first thing. So
Right.
if you cannot solve the problem at the program level, then either you escalate the issue or you go down to the project manager. But in this option C, option D is clearly written review and update the stakeholder engagement plan, which means that the stakeholder is mentioned in the program stakeholder register is already there. Now problem is coming that this stakeholder is not being properly engaged in your program. So you have to go to your engagement plan. That is the only plan that we have at the program level. In that chapter, I have stakeholder register, stakeholder engagement plan, then I am engaging the stakeholder. So the problem is coming in stakeholder engagement, where he is not actually getting the information. Or instead of the, I intentionally wrote communication information, so your mind go to the communication. But it can be any reason which gives you the impression that stakeholders are not engaged. So when something is not engaged, you have to go and update the stakeholder engagement plan to see why this stakeholder is not getting the required information.
So the correct answer is engagement plan then, right?
Yes, D.
All right.
If you cannot solve at program level, then Kamal Saab is right. You can talk to the project manager to go down and update their relative component plans. If not that, still you cannot handle, then you escalate the issue to your steering committees. Yes, Garima.
Sir, but stakeholder engagement plan will be having all strategies and all, no? So, and as per the question, like what communication is 4R. So, right information is not like going to the correct, like concerned stakeholder.
Yes.
So, what we feel here, we are in the option, we are not telling program manager to update the communication. He can ask project manager also. But to handle the situation, what we feel communication is not happening because of maybe
So,
he's not following the correct plan.
that's why I'm saying communication is not happening. Your understanding is correct. But in the program level, we only have stakeholder engagement plan. This engagement plan is not telling you how to engage. What is the meaning of engagement? To talk, to discuss, to involve the people. So engagement is a very broad word. Communication actually comes under engagement. I can only communicate with you if I have engagement plan, how to get you engaged. You will go down once you cannot handle the problem at your level, at the program level, then you will go down to the component level.
Correct. So, sir, like on a personal note, like, should I forget everything, whatever we had learned in PMP exam? Because Amer sir said whenever there's a communication problem, always refer communication plan. So that was in my mind. So that's why I've selected C. So now as it is a PgMP, so
Yes,
we
you have
should
to be
not refer those stuff.
the first step is that I'm not saying to forget. The first step is to see what you can handle at your same level
Program
first.
level.
Means yes,
Okay.
same level. Yes,
Correct.
Gulzar sir.
And C component term is also added. So
Yeah,
that is
component that
also
is clear.
correct. Okay,
Sir,
sir.
I want to add here that in the option D, review and update the stakeholder engagement plan, it's not showing the program and stakeholder engagement plan. It can be considered as the component stakeholder engagement plan. That's why it's also ambiguous to select D option.
Okay, then okay, you are right in that case, but just consider that if something is not written, then it is surely program. But the question should have be program stakeholder engagement plan. I agree. But if something is not mentioned, we have to be considering as a program stakeholder engagement plan.
Right, sir.
Yes, Sabir sir.
Actually, here a little bit confusion is there. If we see the question here, the question I understand exactly what you're saying actually here. But if I go to this line, a very important and critical information about project A. So he is specifically talking about a component itself, not about the whole program or the other component. He's not talking about that. So why should I again go to the program rather than going directly to that particular communication management plan?
Okay,
This
so
is my question.
okay, in the program delivery phase, what 3 steps we have for the component? Component authorization and initiation, component integration and planning, component transition and component closure. And what you agree? And what we said that in the program delivery phase, you have multiple components going in parallel with each other, and for each component, you have project managers and component managers to handle their relevant life cycles. Once any of the component is done or closed, then it goes to closure phase, right? That was our life cycle. So in that case,
Yeah.
the focus is on project A. You are right, but project will report to the program, and program manager will be coordinating with the stakeholder which is at the top of it. So first, as I told, first we have to discuss if something we can manage at our level. If not, then we go down to the component level, because stakeholder engagement plan is directly available with us. And how I will engage my stakeholder, for example, okay, I follow you, we update the communication management plan. But if still after communication management plan you do not update the stakeholder engagement plan, can you be able to discuss with your stakeholder, yes or no?
You are right.
He is my program stakeholder, so I can only engage or communicate with him if I update my program management plan, okay, at the program level. So in any case, ultimately this something at the program level has to be updated, then I can satisfy my program level stakeholders. Yes, I can, sir.
Just to summarize this whole discussion, can we say, because we don't have program communication
Yes,
management plan, so can we say that stakeholder engagement plan will list that who will get what information?
yes, clear. If you go in the detail of the stakeholder engagement plan, it's clearly written there. Attitudes
Okay.
about the program, relevant phases, expectations of delivery, ability to influence the program. This is all indirectly saying the same thing of communication, how you have to communicate with the thing. And then when we discussed about program stakeholder engagement, in which we wrote all interactions are logged. So what is the meaning of interaction? Interaction actually means communication.
Okay, so the component will report to program, then
Yes.
in program we will see stakeholder engagement plan where
Yes.
it will be stated
Yes.
this guy will receive, right information, right person, right time.
All 4 hours,
and
but at the program level. That's the
at the
only point.
program level, it will
Yes.
be in stakeholder engagement
Yes.
plan.
Right.
Okay, so I have to forget PMP, that stating stakeholder engagement plan is only strategies.
Yes. It's clear to
So
everyone?
I have to flush it. Okay.
So I have to, I think somebody made a request last session. If we could kindly have the template of like a stakeholder engagement plan or a benefit register and stakeholder register, kind of gives you like some kind of a visual idea, like what each document contained, the kind of information. Maybe it will be more helpful.
Okay.
And
Okay.
at this point, it was
the
not
big-
very clear to me. The stakeholder engagement plan would have been the answer.
Okay.
And I think the statement for this particular problem is more confusing than actually the.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Because
but-
because this is made by me, so I try to manipulate something. So we open the point of discussion, but the target is just to make you clear for the exam. Okay. So
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
we should think at the program level. Okay. That's the thing. Okay.
Yes, makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next 93. Good. So after 3 questions, we have agreement on the answer. Good. So the problem here is that they have multiple stakeholders, internal and external, and everybody have a different opinion. Okay, so what should you do? Number A, you should follow the program team members as internal stakeholders to follow the program within budget and on time. You should follow the customer organization to achieve the intended benefits, meet with the stakeholders and allow everyone to follow their priorities. This is number one wrong, because you have to follow the program objectives, program benefits. No, everybody cannot follow whatever he wants to do. Okay. And number D, you should balance the stakeholder needs by using negotiation among the stakeholder groups. So this is the correct answer. This is also coming from the exam content outline. The key word here is trade-offs, negotiations, talking to the stakeholders, and the purpose is to have the everybody following the same program objectives. Okay, I didn't repeat this word because we already covered in the first question. So just keep in mind, everybody has to go for organizational objectives, program objectives, what is a broadest word, and whatever you can do is negotiation, trade-offs, communication with all of your stakeholders. Okay. So this is all same answers. I think everybody has the same opinion. Next, 94. Second last question. Please, everybody give the answer. B. C. C. Sabir sir, please read the question.
The objectives of your program impact a large number of population. Public organizations are commenting negatively on your program objectives. What should you do first?
Okay, please wait. In the stakeholder chapter, what is the sequence of the 5 things that we have studied? What is number 1?
Identify stakeholder,
Number 2,
prioritize.
analyze the stakeholders. Number 3,
Yes.
stakeholder engagement plan.
Engagement planning.
Okay, now read option number A.
Okay, option A is update the stakeholder engagement plan.
So this is at number 3. Okay, in our chapter wise. If I will explain you later why I'm telling you this thing. Number B.
Okay. Perform a risk analysis of negative media coverage about your program.
Okay, so it means that he's diverting your mind towards the risk analysis. From the stakeholder, he's jumping you to the risk analysis. Okay, next.
Okay. Review the program stakeholder register to determine the ability of these stakeholders to affect the program outcomes.
He is going you to the identify stakeholder phase, stakeholder register.
Yeah.
Okay, and
And
number D.
D is meet with the program steering committee to discuss the problem and determine the next steps.
Okay, so D is not the correct answer. Okay, that we already discussed.
Yeah.
Going high up is a later option. Okay, now this question I will link with the previous discussion that we had, in which we updated the stakeholder engagement plan and not the register. I go back. You see here in this question, this stakeholder is already identified in my stakeholder register. That's why he is a stakeholder mentioned here. Okay, so that's why
Yes.
we said I will update the stakeholder engagement plan and not the stakeholder register that we had the discussion with some person on this thing. In this question, you are not sure whether his public organization is your stakeholder, yes or no. Unless he is not your stakeholder, you don't need to worry about him. Okay, so the first step is to review the program stakeholder register to determine the ability of the stakeholders to affect the program outcomes. Maybe number one, he is not your stakeholder, so I don't need to care for him. Number two, maybe this stakeholder has a low impact and low power, then I will address to him accordingly. So in any case, when he is using the general terms, like he will say large number of population, the purpose of this statement is that they are 1000 people, but 1000 people maybe only 10 are stakeholders, or maybe 10 are only my program stakeholders. Okay, so here he write public organizations are commenting. Okay, if somebody which is not my stakeholder, I don't need to care for them. Is it clear?
Okay.
Is it clear to
Okay.
everyone? So first step is to identify the stakeholder register, identify your stakeholder register, and two more questions I can add in this. Number one, he is a public organization. First, I will go to the stakeholder register whether he is there or not. If he is not my stakeholder, I will ignore it. Another question is that he will say stakeholder A is commenting negatively on your program, but when you go to the power interest grid, this has low power and low influence to your program. So what should you do? You should just monitor them. You cannot make your mitigation plan, or I cannot do extensive working or spend money to engage these stakeholders. Like in the risk
Okay.
register, so maybe in the risk topic, it's a very common question that you can encounter that you identified you are a program manager and the stakeholders identified 3 risks. So what should be your step? The answer he gives is that make a intensive risk management plan to address this risk so that doesn't impact your program. This is option number A. Option number B is that ignore the risk. Option number 3 is that register the risk in the stakeholder in the risk register and analyze them for their impact. Or number 4 can be another option. So whenever you, in every step, just remember, whenever you identify something new, whether he is a potential stakeholder, whether it's a risk or anything, first you have to identify it, means it will go into the register, whether it's a risk register or stakeholder register or benefit register. Then you have to analyze it. Analyzing means you have to evaluate it. Okay, evaluation means what is the impact it can give me, what is the influence it can give me. And then in the third step comes the planning phase, whether you go to update your engagement plan, stakeholder engagement plan, risk management plan, benefit management plan, or any other thing. Is it clear? Is the sequence clear to everyone?
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Because
It's clear.
in the first we also discussed one thing about the stakeholder engagement plan. We had a long discussion and also one more plan. Okay, so just follow the process of identification, analysis, then we go to the planning phase. Okay, last question for today. Okay, so you are experienced program manager in your company. While you are reviewing the formulation procedures, there is no procedure to manage the suppliers. What should you do first to obtain the program approval? Create the stakeholder engagement plan. This is wrong. First, we have to identify the stakeholders. That is clear. Okay. Gulzar sir, why option B cannot be the answer?
Option B is, sir, meet the program team, because program team is still not finalized, sir.
Right,
So-
because we are still in the program formulation phase. With there is no program approval, it means that we are still at the business case level, right? So we don't have any program team at that time.
Yes, sir.
Hamid sir, why option D cannot be the answer?
Yes, sir. Meet the project manager to identify and analyze the stakeholder. And so we're talking about, the program level. The project manager is probably for the component which will be in the delivery phase, and we're not
Excellent.
there yet.
Right. So I put this option here to discuss only this point. And in the program domain or at the program level, the project team, program managers, project team, project managers, component managers will only come in the program delivery phase. In the program formulation, in the program definition phase, we have program formulation and program planning phase, subphase. Then once we go in the program delivery phase, then comes my components, component A, B, C, D, whether it's a project or component or any subprogram. So at the formulation phase, you don't have project managers, you don't have program team. So the only option remaining here is that analyze the business environment to identify key stakeholders and then perform the stakeholder analysis. So analyzing the business environment means we only have the organization goals and objectives. We are in the beginning state and we have to go here. Yes, Gulzar sir.
Sir, before planning and after formulation stage, we have learned that we have to identify the program team. So at that time, we will be having program sub-program managers and component managers as well. Identify those who are for which we have to work out very close. Not talking about those components which are far away. But the key stakeholders will be identified before planning process, right, sir?
Yes, yes, right. But here the point is that with whom you are meeting. You are trying to meet here the program team or the project managers which are still not existing. That is the key point here.
Right, sir. But my concern to say is that we will not be finding or identifying the component managers in the delivery phase. Rather, we will be doing this work after formulation and before.
Yes, correct. Right. In the project managers, we will make before the delivery phase starts. That's the same topic we discussed last time. And Hamid Sahib asked when we will make the benefit sustainment plan or when we will make the program, the benefit transition plan. So I gave the answer. The plan or anything means project or project manager is a stakeholder which is required in the program delivery phase. Okay, so it means anything which is required at that particular moment should be prepared before that. So it makes sense. If you have to make in the benefit sustainment plan, you have to make before we start benefit sustainment thing. When I need the project manager in the delivery phase, so surely I have to identify the project manager before I start the delivery phase. Okay, does it make sense?
Clear, sir.
Sir, as per this question, we are in formulation phase, right?
Yes.
Okay, and how it will be defined in question if we are in delivery phase? Just an example.
He will say you that you are in the program, the components have started or the components are initiated, or he will say you that the components, the benefits are being delivered. So he will use any of the three words. Whenever he will talk you something that will give you the impression the component is already under process, under development. So that is in the program delivery phase. There is nothing else he will ask you about the delivery phase.
Benefits are delivered, so it will come in closure. No, sir. No.
No. Program delivery. You're talking about program delivery phase. In the program delivery phase, you have component complete life cycle. So it can have component authorization, initiation, planning, component transition, and component closing is also under program delivery phase. After your components are closed in the delivery phase, then you go to the program closure phase.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. So is this 10 questions good for everyone? So I was expecting
Yeah.
less time, but we spent 1.5 hours on this. So it was a good
Yeah.
discussion. And I will request everybody, especially who have booked your exam, please revise this coaching call. Number one, please revise the exam content outline. Maybe you can use the colors that I have sent, that sheet. That is easier to remember and easy to calibrate. And please review this coaching call. It will help you how the real question will come from the stakeholder. It's not a difficult question. It doesn't seem to be a difficult chapter, but in the real exam, it can trick you. And at the end, you will see that the question was so easy, maybe the answers were not correct. Okay. So it was a very good discussion, and I hope that everybody will benefit from that. So thank you very much for attending it.
Thank you, sir.